I got my fresh cup of coffee, ran a couple errands this morning. Let's get something done. Erwin brought all these stoves on the pad last night so I can get to checking them. He also started tearing apart some of these head units, get them scrapped out, keep all the good parts. Unfortunately, it rained this morning pretty hard, so all this stuff got wet. We're just gonna let it dry out real good before we do anything else with it. I got this Whirlpool fridge up and running. I've had it testing. It works like it should. I just turned it off. I'm getting ready to wipe it down. It's kind of dirty in here. Not too bad though. Clean it up. Let's get this thing out of here. I got the bottles in here. These are my testing bottles so that I know everything's freezing and cooling like it should. Just got it cleaned up inside and out. Looking pretty good. It's never going to be 100%, but it's damn close to it. This one over here works, but it's got bad suspension rods. It's got a lot of bounce to it. So we're going to try to get those swapped out. This one I picked up this past week when I was running some service calls. I got it plugged in. It's just agitating. It's not locking the lid or doing anything else. So we're going to see what's going on with it. And this one here, I was in the process of swapping out the shifter yesterday. Wheel that holds the belt onto the motor was rusted onto the transmission shaft. So finally it broke loose. I had a lot of liquid wrench sprayed in there and it came loose. I got to take this plastic off, clean that up, make sure everything's good. And then we'll get it put all back together. I got to install a new shifter here. I got this plastic taken off. As you can see, it is really dirty in here. This spring here is all kind of starting to rust away, so we'll get that swapped out. This was the original shifter. Most likely went bad. Once you get a lot of buildup in here, puts a lot of tension on this little motor in here that moves this plastic up and down. Make sure the shaft isn't too bad. Put it all back together. I got the new parts that I'm going to install brought out already. I got the shaft of the transmission all cleaned up, made sure it was in good standing, wiped everything down, it's ready to go. So we're gonna put a new wheel for the belt on, new plastic for the shifter, and a new spring. Once we get that greased up and installed, we'll put a new shifter. This is the old one. Before I even start doing any more of this, my dad made it back home. We got to get his box truck unloaded. First, I'm gonna get the van moved out the way. Looks like he picked up a tiller that needs to be put together. Looks pretty new. Also, some kind of engine, not too sure what it goes to. And then looks like he got 3 of these pallets of clothes. Like always, these things weigh about 800 to 900 pounds a piece. So we're gonna be putting the forks that we fabricated this past week to use and see how they work. I got right back in here, finishing up this as much as I can. I got the new parts greased up and installed for the shifter. Got that spring in here. Pretty much just helps push this back and forth. But the way it works is, this is the old shifter. I'll get a new one here. You got a little reader here, reads how fast the motor's spinning. It all takes it back to the computer, but this little piece will go in place. Something like this gets screwed in place. And what happens is, depending on if it's just agitating, it'll pull it up and just do the middle agitation. And then if it needs to spin the drum, it'll pop this back, and that way the whole drum spins. So pretty simple design, but what happens is, the grease wears off over time. This gets real dirty and that little motor just kind of wears out, pulling this back and forth like this. And it gets to the point where it can't do it anymore, so the machine won't complete the cycles. Now that we got this done, getting ready to clean up and grease this wheel up a little bit, put it in place, reinstall the belt, reinstall a new shifter, and we'll see how it works. Got all the old parts here. Only thing I reused was the belt because it's a good belt. No need to replace it, but pretty much that's it. We got the new shifter in place here. As you can see, inside here, you can't move it back and forth. Let that motor do that when it needs to. Got everything hooked up. I conditioned the belt. That way it doesn't dry out too easy. And then the last thing was this little bolt here at the end. Helps hold that wheel in place. Let's get this thing lifted upright and get it tested again. We're getting ready to let it run a cycle. We'll see how it works. This washer here, I ran it on a drain and spin. It spun just like it should. It actually locked the child lock. So I'm not too sure what's going on with it. I actually think it might be the shifter with this one as well, but we'll figure that out. This one here, I haven't got around to changing the shocks yet either. My dad just pulled up with the tractor. Let's get this truck unloaded first. We got these 2 girls coming to work. Y'all ready to work or no? My dad's getting ready to pull out this Nissan that we picked up a couple weeks ago, probably 2 months ago we bought it. It's got a transmission issue, but it's kind of in the way right now. Looks like he's just gonna leave it there for now. We got that little engine taken out of here, and then this big old tiller. This thing is brand new. It's got everything there, just needs to be put together. Let's see what we can do. Seems to be a little bit heavy for the tractor though. So pretty much all the weight is on the tractor now. We got to do with what we got to do. That's a heavy bale. Keeps wanting to drop down. Time to get this moved in here on the pallet. First bale of clothes. Got 2 more pallets to go. So we got the tractor parked here for now. I got this big strap out here. Our forks are not long enough. This is as far as they can reach in here. The people that loaded it up had a lot bigger of a machine, so they were able to get it farther in here. Now we're gonna have to pull these things out before we can get them picked up with the forks. So we're gonna use this strap to do that. So we got the strap wrapped around the bottom of the first pallet, hooked up to the tractor, slowly but surely making its way out of there. Some heavy duty straps. Okay, perfect. So now we're gonna release them. What are you doing under here? This is the danger zone. Let's see how this goes. Go. Yeah, that's probably a smart decision. Get out of there. Oh, looks like he's slipping out of it. We don't want nothing bad happening. Now that we got it out, we're gonna get it stacked on top of this one. So we're not gonna stack it 3 bales high. That's just gonna be way too much. So we're going over here. We're gonna grab another one of our pallets. We're gonna put it on the ground and then set this bale on top of it so it's not resting on the ground. I grabbed the compressor. We're gonna put a little bit more air in these tractor tires since this load is so heavy. So we have the front tires at 25 PSI. I'm bumping them up to 30. We are back up and running. Got the PSI upgraded a little bit on the front tires. Nothing goes as planned. We had to hook the strap back up. Of course, this bale doesn't have a pallet under it, so it's making it a little bit more difficult. We'll get it figured out. We're getting ready to put the strap back on this and pull this thing out. We somewhat got it out of here. I just disconnected the straps. We pulled it out. We're probably gonna have to flip it over, put it on another set of pallets. One step at a time. One way or another, we are gonna find a way to get this thing out of here. We kind of destroyed one of the pallets doing it, but we got the strap tied around it. It is a tight squeeze. That thing is barely holding on. It's a lot of weight for the tractor, but somehow, some way, my dad got it figured out. We got 3 tillers in here we got to pull out, clean up the mess, and another job will be complete. Are you our lucky charm? I'm gonna go get me another cup of coffee, and then we'll get back out here. Got my fresh cup of coffee, enjoying it. Got this machine out here. I'm gonna replace the shocks in, the one that was over here. And then I'm getting this one tested again because I'm not too sure exactly what's going on. So I wanna get a better idea before I start doing anything to it. I got the head unit and the top half of the machine taken off. Just disconnected a couple wires in the tube for the pressure valve. The 4 shocks in the corner is what needs to be replaced. Also, I think I have another top plastic for the drum. I'm gonna get that replaced. When it bangs around, it starts hitting on everything and starts chipping away at some of the plastic. So let's get these 2 things swapped out and let's get it tested again. Got the top half replaced on this washer, looking good as new. So now let's move into getting these shocks replaced. The way this works, you gotta lift up on the shock, remove this plastic ball from this end. And then the reason it's gotta be on its side is because you gotta push it all the way down through. These don't have any notch in them to pull it out, so only one way to do it. Got this washer in here, finishing out the last stage. Spinning the clothes out, seems to be working without any noises now. We just unloaded 3 tillers, got the sheep out and grazing. Gonna clean up the truck a little bit, and that's it. Damn near the whole herd of sheep up here. We're gonna get them pushed back a little bit. Already got the scraper blade moved over here. Last little item. Now that that's all done, let's get back in here. I'm gonna reinstall this, hook the wires back up and get it tested. Got this job complete. Here's the old pump motor and the head that we're not gonna use. Got the pump installed, just 3 screws. Make sure you secure the tube on there, put the clamp on. Plugged it back in. Last thing to do is run this wire back through here. I'll do that here in a second and then get that closed. Everything else looks good. Let's get it hooked back up and tested. My dad's getting the tractor moved. I don't know if you can tell, but it looks like a big rainstorm is on its way. I'll wake her up. She was knocked out snoring over here. Got this washer here. This is the one that I replaced the pump in. Everything seems to be working as it should. It's finishing out its last cycle. I'm gonna clean it up a little bit. It looks like it has a little bit of a rusty spot here from something set on top. Should be able to get buffed out. But on this great Friday evening, I'm going through cleaning up a bucket of tools that we had from when we cleaned out the storage building we got. Yeah, we're gonna find them all a new home. Make sure we know where they are when we need them.